Cause I'm
Meeting this Tuesday evening, February 18th. I now call this meeting in order. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Diaz-Nash,
Yes.
Councilmember Svirko-Goditsky,
Yes.
Councilmember Fernandez,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lorraine,
Here.
and Mayor Newsom.
Here. We're excited to be here in person with options for those who choose not to be in person to participate virtually. There are several ways to participate. For those attending in person, please complete a yellow request to speak slip and hand it to the city clerk. If participating remotely, use the raise your hand feature in Zoom and you will be called on at the appropriate time. If calling in via phone, press *9 to raise your hand, and when called upon, press *6 to unmute. These options for public comment will remain available until I close the public comment period for each specific item. On the agenda tonight for the special session, we'll begin with 2 closed session items. Item 1, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, and item 2, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation. That seems a little redundant. Now, before we convene to close session, City Clerk, do we have any requests to speak on these items?
Mayor Newsom, we have not received any requests to speak on item 1 or 2 on the agenda.
Okay, then we will close public comment and convene to close session. We're returning from closed session. Next up, we will be talking or having a presentation on the Clean Water Program and Wastewater Treatment Plant Upgrade and Expansion Update. We'll have a presentation by Derek DeQuigian.
Close enough.
Okay, thank you, Derek, Deputy Public Works Director.
Thank you, Mayor Newsom and council members. My name is Derek Keegan, Deputy Public Works Director, and today I'm going to be talking about two different topics, the Clean Water Program overview and the largest project within the Clean Water Program, which is the Wastewater Treatment Plant Upgrade and Expansion Project. Now, why are we here? Why does the Clean Water Program exist? In 2009, there was a cease and desist order from the Regional Water Quality Control Board that was issued to San Mateo, Hillsborough, as well as Crystal Springs County Sanitation District, requiring the elimination of sanitary sewer overflows and ultimately to protect our public health as well as the health of our environment and the San Francisco Bay. And as such, the Clean Water Program was initiated with four main goals: to replace the aging infrastructure and the facilities, to build wet weather sewer system capacity to prevent sewer overflows, and to meet current and future regulatory requirements, along with align with the City of San Mateo and Foster City sustainability goals. Now, this is the overall program schedule. I want to highlight the green text on the left side as well as the right side. In 2015, the Clean Water Program was initiated, followed by a budget baseline in 2017. And if you look to the far right, we are targeting a program closeout in 2026, really at the end of December 2026. And then if you look at the bottom right, there are post-Clean Water Program efforts where we will still have to continuing to rehabilitate and repair the wastewater treatment plant and collection system projects. Those type of repairs and capital improvement projects started before the Clean Water Program, continued throughout the Clean Water Program, and have to continue past the Clean Water Program. Now focusing your attention to the blue text, in 2019, we started the treatment plant project, and we are geared and targeting a completion of the new facilities, getting them up and running this summer in 2025, along with final project closeout in 2026. And then lastly, in magenta at the bottom there, we have the start of the underground flow equalization system project in 2020, and we're anticipating to close out that project this summer. Now, the Clean Water Program is a $1 billion 10-year effort. It is focused on wet weather management, focused on collection system rehabilitation and capacity improvements, along with wastewater treatment plant upgrades, with the focus to remove nutrients being sent to the bay as we treat them. The image to the right displays what the scope of the Clean Water Program was back in 2018. It displays various pipeline projects, pump station projects, and even our treatment plant projects shown there in the top right in yellow. Now in today's status, the green projects are all completed. All the various pipelines within the collection system, there are still a few that are under construction, still shown in yellow there, and some projects are shown in magenta are in design and will be starting construction hopefully this summer as well. That's that. Now focusing in on the Clean Water Program, the objectives of this capital improvement project, which is the largest in the history of the city, was to replace the existing liquids treatment process with new facilities. I'm not going to name all of those facilities, but they are listed there. By doing so, we also achieve early actor status on nutrient removal. I don't know if you remember, in the goals of the program was to meet current and future regulatory requirements. Early on in the program, we were forecasting what type of regulatory requirements would come out. And so we built this and designed it so that it would meet those future goals. It will also increase wet weather management capacity to 78 million gallons per day. Our current one is only 60 MGD. And also, lastly, it will be Title 22 effluent ready, meaning it meets the requirements of recycled water requirements. This facility will treat wastewater from populations of approximately 150,000 people from the San Mateo, Foster City, Hillsborough, Crystal Springs County Sanitation District, as well as the County of San Mateo, along with a few properties in Belmont. And it is significant in helping keep our community clean. Now, just to orient where this property is, the parcel is outlined in orange. The bottom half of the parcel is the existing wastewater treatment plant. The northern highlighted portion in orange is where the new facility is. And to further orient you, to the north is the San Francisco Bay, along with Seal Point Park and J. Hart Clinton Drive. To the east is Seal Slough and our lagoon. To the south is Leslie Creek and Bayside School, along with Joinville Park and the Parkside neighborhood. And to the west is Shoreview neighborhood. I'm going to take you through a slideshow of construction. This is May 2020, back when we started excavation and shoring. A year later, we started doing piles and foundation. Along with rebar and framework, that yellow arrow focuses on one of the piles. There are over 2,000 piles to secure the structure during seismic events, along with also prevent the structure from uplifting because there is a high groundwater table. Moving forward into March 2023, you could see a lot more of the concrete process facility built. There is a unique stat that there is about 33,000 cubic yards of concrete, which is equivalent to 132 million pounds of concrete on this project. The facility also has backup generators there shown in the middle to ensure that continuous power is provided during PG&E power outages. Now I want to take you sort of through the process that the wastewater will come in. It will first come in through the headworks, and this is a facility that removes large objects like rags, grit, and debris from entering further into the process facility. Our existing wastewater treatment plant does not have this type of facility, and so the treatment plant staff are excited to have this. After the headworks, it goes into the primary clarifiers, where further separation of solids and liquids occur. I also want to point out in the back left there is those two yellowish towers. That is our odor control facility, and so all the new facilities will have foul air captured and sent through to those odor facilities, so that the new facilities do not send odors into the surrounding neighborhood. Also in parallel to the primary clarifiers, there is a bioactive flow facility. This is to provide additional capacity during peak wet weather events to be able to meet our permit requirements. And this bioactive flow facility will be the largest in the United States. After primary treatment, it goes into the biological nutrient removal system. The wastewater goes through this, which uses microorganisms to remove nitrogen and phosphorus, which are the nutrients that would have been sent to the bay. And then lastly, it goes through the membrane bioreactor, or MBR, and MBR uses biological treatment along with microfiltration to produce high quality effluent to meet the permit requirements, and that will allow us to meet the new regulatory requirements issued by the Water Board. This MBR facility is one of the largest in California as well. And after the wastewater gets processed through this facility, it then gets sent to the existing part of the wastewater facility, where it gets disinfected and then discharged to the San Francisco Bay. Just a few other items here. This is the double contained chemical Teflon piping. This piping is meant to convey all the different types of chemicals to all the different processes that I just showed you earlier. There is a chemical storage facility where different chemicals get pumped, and this is type of pipe that can sustain the thermal expansion within the environment there. I also want to touch upon some of the public-facing components of this project. This is the eastern side of the new admin building that will house our wastewater treatment plant staff. Going into the admin building, we have conference rooms, offices, but I wanted to bring focus to the laboratory here. This laboratory is one of the few that is accredited by the state of California. It gives us the capability to test the wastewater through each of the processes so that the operators know how to tweak and optimize the process better. And ultimately, this lab will test the wastewater before it discharges to the bay to make sure we meet the permit requirements as well. Many treatment facilities in the Bay Area do not have an accredited lab, and so those facilities will have to contract this type of service out. We are lucky enough to have this type of service and facility at our site. This here is a photo along with rendering of the pathway along parallel to 3rd Avenue, J. Hart Clinton. To the left, it shows the pathway along with rebar still just being poured, and to the right shows a rendering showing this is a bike path and pedestrian path. Those blue kiosks to the left and right of the path are informational kiosks just to help explain what the wastewater treatment plant does. And then, of course, there is landscaping and architectural components, such as the blue artwork, along with the screening on top of the frontage of the building as well. This path is supposed to provide connectivity from the Shoreview neighborhood all the way towards Foster City, along with Joinville Park and Bayside School, and connect all the way to Seal Point Park, as well as the Bay Trail as well. Now, the past few slides really showcase the various new facilities that can be easily seen from the outdoors. This slide is just to showcase some of the really densely packed corridors inside, and many of the enclosed areas that were very difficult to construct and place all these type of facilities. Like, I'm sure we have all throughout our lives tried to move furniture into our own home and had to pivot and maneuver couches and dressers through stairwells. Like, I want you guys to just try imagining doing that with these massive pipes and pieces of equipment. In the right image, in the top left of the right image, that is a 54-inch diameter pipe. That's about chest height for most of us, and those are 20-foot segments, and trying to maneuver them and place them in a logistical order so that this can be constructed. I just wanted to just explain how difficult this is, and according to our from our contractor, he has estimated that over 1.5 million construction labor hours has been put into this project as well. So this is a significant scale, challenge, and labor-intensive project. Now, because of how intensive it is and challenging it is, there has been a significant amount of changes throughout the project, and there are still changes that we are tracking, which are listed here. I'm not going to go through everything, but all in all, these are what we know now, along with potential risks and changes that may occur between today as well as the completion. So the construction risks are listed there. We're estimating that we still need approximately 19.5 million in construction contingency, which we will be asking for later on this year. On top of that, the soft costs due to delays to continue with project management, construction management, inspections, insurance, and engineering services are estimated to also add on an additional $5 million. Now, to finish out the project, there are still a few milestones here. I'm not going to list out everything, but we are starting, the first bolded item is the clean water testing. We're starting that now through July, and we want to make sure that before we process wastewater through any of these facilities, we use clean water first. We then will have the new processes operational, hopefully by August 2025, according to our current schedules, and have a ribbon cutting in September 2025 so that we could all celebrate this massive achievement. There are some other components that still need to be improved on the existing treatment plant that will extend the project to project closeout in March, April next calendar year. So this is a significant effort to close out this project. This next chart is meant to showcase the producer price index of construction commodities over time. And this is to help explain why some of the costs overall for the program, along with any construction project that the city has moving forward, have been affected. The vertical axis to the left is the percent change, while the horizontal axis is time. The various colored dashed lines are the various types of commodities. In the top there, we have conduits and fittings in yellow. We have copper and brass mill shapes in green, plastic pipe in blue, and I could name the rest of them, but you could probably read through them. And so I want to bring your focus to the solid vertical lines. In April 2020, Phase 3 of the project was essentially designed, and the contractor submitted bids for that cost. We went through the timeframe of April 2020 to October to value engineer this between the designers, the city, construction managers, along with the contractor to see how we could bring down the price. We brought down the price by approximately $30 million in value engineering. And in October 2020, we awarded phase 3 of the contract for $380 million. After that, the contractor then had to get all the subcontracts into place. And then there were lead times to get all the different types of materials in. And right now, there is a solid slanted green line there that is averaging about 70% increase for all these different commodities. So I just want to bring notice that it was a very good thing that the council was decisive in awarding this contract in October 2020 so that we could take advantage of all those prices at that time before the impacts of the schedule impacts listed there along with the cost impacts were actualized. And now a lot of our projects, along with the change orders associated with everything in the Clean Water Program and the city construction projects, all are impacted with increased costs. This is a busy slide, but I want to walk you through this as well. To the left column, the first column is all the various different type of projects. The second column, in 2017, we baselined the program at $991 million at the bottom there. Our current EAC, which is our current estimate at completion, this forecasts everything that we know, as well as some contingencies included, and that's about 1.028 million. And then lastly is the variance of 37 million overall, or 3.8% difference. So given that we have faced significant challenges with COVID and supply chain issues, rapid increase in inflation, I just want to showcase, like, overall this program, I feel, even though it is above budget, it still could be significantly worse. This next slide is really just to forecast our upcoming budget requests. So not every project is listed here, but the second column there is just to showcase how much we've committed to each of these budgets, to each of these projects so far. So just bringing your attention to the upgrade and expansion project bolded there in the top green line there. We've committed $572.5 million to date. We are proposing in this coming fiscal year to request 24, close to 25 million to match our estimate at completion so that we could close out this project. All in all these Clean Water Program projects are about $31 million in increase over the next 2 years. I also wanted to point out some of the projects are negative amounts, mainly because we've either identified ways to do things more effectively and efficiently, and so we've optimized certain ways we have done stuff, or we have deemed some of the scopes not even necessary anymore due to hydraulic modeling because of the earlier projects that were more effective than we were anticipating. This is just to showcase the construction contract associated with the wastewater treatment plant. There are 3 phases: the site preparation, the foundation phase 2, along with the process facilities. And really, I just wanted to bring your attention to the middle columns here. The awarded contract amount in total is $430.6 million. The authorized contingency to date is $40.9 million, which is about 9.5% of the construction contract. And then the column in yellow is the 19.5 that we'll potentially need to close out the project. If we intend to come back in the new fiscal year with hopefully a more refined number. This addresses all known risks. We're hoping to we have a whole team reviewing all the different changes to either accept them, reject them, or negotiate them. So we are anticipating that this number will change, and we will come back at a later date with a more refined number. But if we were to request this 19.5 today, it would bring up the total contingency to 60 million, which is about 14% of the construction contract. And with that amount, I want you to bring your focus to the last note at the bottom. For CIP construction contracts, a contingency amount equal to 10% of the construction amount is typical, but for high-risk projects of this nature, contingencies of 20% have been authorized. And so right now, we are tracking closer to 14%, which is what it is. And lastly, the last few slides have been showing costs increasing. And yes, the Clean Water Program is estimated to be 37 million or 3.8% higher than our original baseline budget. And yes, we are anticipating to increase another 25 million for the upgrade and expansion project. However, I wanted to end this presentation with a slide because without these milestones and accomplishments throughout the program, the impact to ratepayers would have been significantly higher. I'm going to walk you through each of these timeframes. In fiscal year 16-17, we raised rates 16%. And at that time, we raised rates 12%. And at that time, the rates were 100% usage based. And it's based off winter water usage. And then we also established an agreement with Foster City to pay 42.12% of capital costs at the wastewater treatment plant. The challenge with usage-based rates during that time is we were in a drought. And so even though we raised rates, people were using less water, and so the revenues didn't increase. And so because of that, in fiscal year 17-18, we had to raise rates 36% in order to gain the revenue needed to fund this program. And even that was not sufficient enough to go out to the bond market, to the loan market, and position ourselves to obtain loans. And so in fiscal year 18-19 to 22-23, we established a 5-year rate increase, which increased rates 12 to 14% per year, along with restructured the rate to have a 50% fixed fee rate component. So now, because of that fixed rate component, we had stable revenue. And within that 5-year time frame, we went to the bond market. We issued $270 million worth of bonds to kick off this project or this program. We also, because our revenue was more stable and had the ability to pay back the different loans and bonds and debt service, we were able to secure 2 WIFIA loans, one for $277 million, followed by $85 million, and then also secured a $145 million treatment plant state revolving fund loan as well. If it wasn't for council's actions along with community support to raise these rates and fund this program, we wouldn't have been able to get those loans. And because of that, if it weren't for those loans, we would have had to increase rates even more in the last set of time between fiscal year 23-24 and 27-28. We were already anticipating to raise rates additional 14% or more for those years. But because of those loans and because we were lucky to even get them, we got approval to only provide inflationary rate increases through fiscal year 27-28 at 3% per year. And we worked with our rate consultant recently, and he has indicated that we do not have to raise rates, even though we have all these cost increases on the program, which is a good thing that I wanted to end. And with that, I just want to say thank you. And that is our update for the Clean Water Program and the project.
Thank you, Derek, for a very thorough presentation. So I guess now we will open it up and take public comment.
Mayor Newsom, we have not received any requests to speak on this item in chamber, and we have no hands raised in Zoom.
Okay, then we will close public comment and move on to questions and comments, feedback from the council. Does anyone want to go first?
Thank you for a great presentation. So residents on the east side actually had a few questions about the beautification and aesthetics of the project. Particularly from Mariners Island, they were told that a temporary parking lot was being put in while construction of the wastewater treatment plant was underway, and that when the project was complete, the land would be restored to its prior wildlife open green space. Do we know or have a sense of timeline for when that will happen?
Yeah, the contractor is working to restore that now. Right now, I believe all the porta potties were removed. The cars are no longer being parked there. I'm not sure if the fence is still there, but that will be taken out as well. And we also had a secondary gate placed along the pathway that will also be removed or could have already been removed, but it will be removed soon if it hasn't. In terms of the restoration, we went to the Parks and Rec Commission requesting a recommendation to go to City Council to use those parcels, and I believe this is the parcel that's being commented on is the one by the boat ramp. And when we went to Parks and Rec Commission, we indicated we would put some gravel surface along with put the fencing up, and then during restoration, we would take down the fencing, remove the gate, and leave the surface as we place it intact. And so we intend to do that. We're coordinating with Parks and Rec department right now and staff as to how we want to finalize all that, but it is being coordinated to restore it with the gravel surface or potentially some other surface of similar nature.
Okay. Okay, maybe we can follow up on that because my understanding is residents thought it would be returned to a green space. And so having gravel, I don't know if that's what they had anticipated or what they were told. So, and then particularly with the wastewater treatment plant, and I did see it in the rendering, but there were some concerns about the lights coming off the facility at night. I know this is a industrial facility, but I'm just curious to know what about the greening or the walking path one that will be open. What is the plan for that?
The walkway path, there will be landscaping along the frontage similar to the renders that was displayed. There will be some lighting for safety, but the facility lighting that is coming through the screening now, that has to be on for OSHA safety purposes. This is a 24/7 operation, and so we need to make sure that operators and treatment plant staff have visibility as they walk through that site.
And then you mentioned that there'll be a biking path. I think residents on the Shoreview side would be curious to know if there's any plans to reopen the Dale Avenue walkway area or potentially convert that to a roadway as an alternative exit out of the neighborhood through Detroit Avenue onto J. Hart Clinton.
The project did not include reopening it up for vehicle purposes. It is intending to open it up for pedestrian and bicycle usage. Prior to the project, pedestrians and bicyclists at a certain point had to get off a pathway and walk on the roadway. And so now with the improvements that we've made, there are dedicated spaces that separate vehicles from pedestrians and bicyclists to provide connectivity for pedestrians and bicyclists throughout the area.
And will that go all the way up to J. Hart Clinton?
It will pretty much go up to the intersection for crossing across the crosswalk, yes.
Okay. I know we've made tremendous strides here. I'm really excited about the wastewater treatment plant. I do have to bring up the resident concerns about the odor, particularly the smell in the summer is bad. And I think there are resident concerns that part of the reason the wastewater treatment facility was built was to mitigate that. Can you clarify if that's true? And will that odor go away?
I don't know if odor was one of the significant drivers in constructing the project, but what I can say is that the new facilities, as I indicated during the presentation, does have an odor control system that captures all the foul air from all those new facilities. The existing facilities, there are still some odors that may occur from that, but we open up the treatment plant for tours as well for the community members to witness what is actually coming out of the treatment plant. Historically, there has been smells coming out of the lagoon and bay as well during low tide that we have zero control over. And then there are some potential odor issues coming out of Seal Point Park as well that Public Works is looking into.
Okay.
I'll just add that I think that the issues that the public is bringing up in the summertime, we're pretty confident that it's an issue that we're dealing with at Seal Point Park with the wetland ponds there. And so we are in the midst of investigating that right now, trying to figure out exactly what's going on. But I don't think that the issues that the public has brought to our attention are coming from the treatment plant. We've gone out and made extensive investigations when we've gotten the complaints and have never been able to pinpoint anything coming from the treatment plant. And the new treatment plant, isn't functional yet, obviously, but as Derek said, it's got all the odor control systems in place and the foul air collection system. So we're pretty confident that that is not going to exacerbate the situation. But I think that the issue that we're dealing with the public is something that we're going to have to figure out at Seal Point Park.
Okay, great. That's really great to hear. Just for context, there's the famous, East Side smell. And then just a final question. You mentioned that the wastewater treatment plant holds a capacity for 150,000 residents. Is that
The entire system treats or collects and collects wastewater and eventually sends it to the wastewater treatment plant. And the estimated population that it is currently servicing is 150,000 people.
okay? And I know we're still wrapping up this project, but are we thinking in long term, as our population grows, what we'll be doing?
When the programmatic environmental impact report for the entire clean water program was issued, it did take into consideration population growth. So that was taken into that was implemented into the designs of the various facilities that we are improving.
Okay, great. Thank you. Those are all my questions. Great presentation.
Anyone else? Yeah, go ahead. Councilmember Ray.
Thank you through the mayor. Thank you, Deputy Director DeKeegan. I just wanted to ask if, given the increase we've seen in costs from about this time last year to this year, I'm just curious if you can point to any practices we might plan to employ this year that might help us avoid future cost increases. Are there any lessons learned that might carry over into the final parts of the project?
I think the biggest thing right now is having strong communication across all the various stakeholders. We've been working closely with the contractor to have them help identify and forecast any issues. And some of these issues that were listed today on that one slide weren't forecasted at that time. And so we've been working closely with our construction management team, our project management team, designers, along with the contractors to help identify and forecast what potentially can go wrong and what are we not seeing. And I think that is having strong communication will help to improve and close out this project.
Thank you. And I guess I'll, in the interest of time, I'll just mention that as was reported in the project presentation, given all that's transpired from the project start to today, it is still remarkable to see just a relatively modest price increase. So I appreciate this update. I hope we can, can finish strongly here, and thank you.
Thank you through the mayor, and thank you, Deputy Director and the entire team who's represented here tonight. I was fortunate enough to go over with the city attorney last week and when this opens up, are there plans to really go out and do community outreach and invite the public to come in and see what's happening?
Yeah, there have been discussions already about forecasting what type of construction tours or facility tours and school tours that we could provide. One of the very interesting components of this is the laboratory facility, and with schools there, it would be very interesting for science programs to maybe come visit that, along with do tours of the facility and the processes.
Yeah, and one of the things we talked about was maybe potentially getting a certificate program going at CSM to help develop a pipeline of resources and future employees for the plant, which would be fantastic. There also, particularly for District 4 community members, there's a lot of community space in the admin building that you'll be able to take advantage of. So that's great news. I know this might be difficult to do, but there is, yes, we've been talking about cost overruns are higher than projection, but how do you begin to understand the amount of savings that we did get by locking in the pricing back in 2020, 2021, the amount of savings we got by doing the WIFIA loans, I mean, in hard dollars, not just, it would have been much more. The amount of savings that we're going to get from having state-of-the-art equipment so that when the state continues to increase its regulatory requirements of us, we'll be ahead of the curve and other cities will not. Has anyone sat down and said, yes, there are opportunity costs, but there is just a huge amount of savings that we would have had to spend?
Yeah, there are, the permit requirements of the wastewater treatment plant are required to comply with. There are roughly 36 other wastewater treatment plants that discharge to the San Francisco Bay. And some of them are going through upgrades right now and haven't even started construction. And they're going to be having to face some of the cost challenges that we are currently facing towards the tail end of this, except now they're not getting 2020 pricing, they're getting 2025 pricing, if not even greater impacted pricing with the political landscape that we're dealing with now.
Yeah, so I would strongly recommend that as part of wrapping up this project, somebody put pen to paper and say, this is what it means in dollar amount. Because as, Councilmember Goditsky said, it's the taxpayers and it's the residents that need to know, but they also need to know what has been saved and what will be offset. And then, let's see, I think the one last thing that you didn't really touch on was the potential going forward, and we keep talking about this at Blue Sky, to be able to take the water at the very end and turn it into potable water. So not tomorrow, but could you talk a little bit about the potential for that?
Well, I'll probably have to rely on Matt, but what to supplement what I'm about to say, but the city of San Mateo are not water purveyors, so we can't take this recycled water and distribute it ourselves to our residents. But I do know that the city of San Mateo is a stakeholder in the Peninsula Pure Water effort to look at how we could take our effluent treated wastewater along with Silicon Valley treatment plant wastewater to provide a regional potable source of water.
Yeah, I think we've experienced some challenges in terms of the ability. We will be able to produce Title 22 recycled water that could be used for irrigation and things like that. But we have high salinity. And so that's a challenge. And we've had interest from Foster City as well as Cal Water in potentially being the recipient of that water. But once they found out the salinity levels, they started to think otherwise. And so I do think that if we were going to use it locally, there would have to be additional treatment that would be provided through like a reverse osmosis type system. But I think, as Derek said, we're participating in this regional effort that I think probably the long-term solution is really for us to send most of our effluent down to Redwood Shores where the Silicon Valley Clean Water Facility is and put in a water purification facility there. They can purify it further to drinking water standards that then could be potentially either directly injected into the drinking water distribution system, or it could be potentially piped up to the Crystal Springs Reservoir and supplement the reservoir water there.
Exciting in the future. Thank you very much.
All right. I know we want to wrap this up, but I have two very quick questions. One, I heard mention of the fact that we have an accredited lab, whereas other cities and municipalities are often having to outsource that. Is there an opportunity in the long term to potentially be providing that service to other cities and municipalities to bring further income into the project?
Yeah, potentially. But right now, I think we need to make sure with our new plant and operations, we get what we can do, what we have to do for ourselves first under control, and then evaluate the business opportunities in the future.
And then you mentioned that we don't have a way to use the water, but is it possible to use like Purple Pipe water to Bayside Park and Ryder Park, which are kind of adjacent to the property for landscaping, or is that?
I think the salinity issues make it difficult for irrigation purposes. It's not the type of water you want to use for irrigation because of the salt levels, I think would end up being detrimental to the landscaping. I think we'd also have to work, my understanding is we'd have to work collaboratively with Cal Water on something like that because they are the entity that is allowed to be the distributor of water.
Got it. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for a great presentation. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. And we'll close this session.